Someone just recently asked, can you freeze-dry Cajun potato salad? Because it has so much mayo in the recipe. I guess mayo doesn't freeze dry so good, and truth is, I have no idea, but I'm always looking for an excuse to whip up a batch of that delicious potato salad. And so in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you my personal recipe for our Cajun potato salad. You can find a link for it in the description box below, but we're not going to stop there. Once it's done, we're going to pop it in our new Stay Fresh freeze dryer to see how it freeze dries.
First up is the potato. We gotta peel it, then we gotta dice it. Next, we're gonna cook those potatoes till they're nice and tender. I'm gonna start by adding a little bay leaf, a little cayenne pepper for heat, herbs like thyme and oregano, some black pepper, gotta have plenty of that, as well as some salt. Let's not forget about the paprika, the garlic powder, and the onion powder. Now, if you want to forgo what is basically the Cajun spice of this mix, you can always add crawfish bowl or seafood bowl, and that'd be pretty good as well. We're going to let that simmer for a while we get our eggs prepared. All we're going to do is boil these for about 10 minutes. That's going to give us that perfect yolk. Once they're done, we're going to shock them in ice water, which makes peeling exponentially easier. As soon as you're done peeling all these eggs, put them in a bowl and separate the whites from the yolks. Take a fork, smash up the yolks, and when you're done, set that to the side. As far as the whites go, all you're going to do is chop that into fairly small pieces. Just like that. All right, now that our eggs are processed, let's look at the rest of the vegetables. We've got red onion, diced, some fresh celery, diced, the classic kosher pickle, diced, and then finally we got green onion tops, chopped. There we go. Let's make the sauce. In a bowl, add your smashed egg yolks, come back with a little mustard and a little mayo. Now, mayo is a tricky ingredient when it comes to freeze drying, so I'm not really sure how it's going to work for this recipe, but we're about to find out. Let's mix all three of those ingredients together and then add some spices. Add your favorite Creole or Cajun seasoning, slap your mama, Tony Chachere's. It doesn't matter. We're going to add some salt and some pepper, keeping it pretty simple here. Give it a mix. And once you get that well incorporated, it should look a little like this. And our potatoes are officially off the stove. We've drained them, and this is what they look like. I like to work with the potatoes while they're still hot. And when it comes to the texture, you should be able to easily smash one of those cubes with your fingers. That's how you know you got the right texture. Let's add the rest of our ingredients, all the vegetables, including the sauce. Give it a mix, taste it for spices, and adjust as necessary. This is perfect. The consistency is exactly what I'm looking for. It both smells and looks great. Let's give it one final taste. That's it. It tastes great too. All right, so we're done. This is highly perishable. It doesn't last more than 4 or 5 days in your fridge, but we're going to be freeze drying some of this, which is going to greatly extend the shelf life. Now, one thing I like to do when it comes to freeze drying food is have a good understanding of how many portions I'm going to get before I'm done freeze drying. In this particular case, I'm putting 900 grams of potato salad on each one of our Stay Fresh freeze dryer trays, and I know that 4 trays at 900 grams each is going to give me 18 single portions. And so that's what we're going into this project with. I am going to freeze all this. While that's freezing, let's get our freeze dryer set up.
Let me tell you something about the Stay Fresh freeze dryer. We bought this particular unit about 5 or 6 months ago. This was around the time that we were having all those problems with the Harvest Right unit, and it was very disruptive to our freeze drying business, and so we thought we would go with a different brand. And over the last 5 or 6 months, we've used the Stay Fresh freeze dryer pretty much continuously and have absolutely been blown away by the result. And in a future video, we'll go into more detail about the Stay Fresh freeze dryer, but for now, let's get this potato salad into that unit and see if we can even freeze dry it.
This is the Stay Fresh freeze dryer home screen. We're going to press the freeze drying option. We're not going to be using the probe in this particular project, but we are going to be adding frozen food. Let's hit the setting option to look at the parameters. And the shelf temperature is set to -5. I'm going to set that to -10, and that's just a personal preference. For me, I like it a little colder. And what this setting means is that when your shelf temperature gets to -10, the machine is automatically going to kick into drying. So if you have it set to -5, then it'll kick on at -5. I do like to change the final dry hours to 12 hours, and the only reason I do that is to extend the drying time a little bit longer in the event that it happens to finish in the middle of the night. That's the only reason. All right, so let's get out of that. Everything looks good, and all we got to do now is hit start. This next screen has 2 sections. You've got the freezing section, and then you have the drying section. The freezing section is broken up into areas that show you what's going on. How long has it been freezing? The trap temperature, that's basically the temperature of the drum. The shelf temperature, right now it says 70 Fahrenheit. And then right there at the bottom in the middle, it says food in chamber. When we put our potato salad in the freeze dryer, we're going to click that button right there. And that lets the machine know that the food is in the chamber and it's safe to start drying. All right, now a few hours have passed. Our potato salad is frozen solid, and we're going to go ahead and stick it in the chamber. And one of the things that I love about the Stay Fresh freeze dryer is how quickly it gets to temperature. I think it's only been a couple of hours in the freezing cycle. And now that our food is in there, let's click food in chamber and check the shelf temperature. In only 2 hours, it went from 70 Fahrenheit to -8 Fahrenheit. That is unbelievable. Now remember, as soon as it gets to -10, it's going to start drying, which is honestly only going to take about another 20 minutes. At this point, we're going to let it do its thing, and it is now the next day. Our potato salad looks like it's finished freeze drying. We will test it here in a second. Let's go back to the home screen. We're going to stop the drying by pressing the final drying button and clicking yes. This is going to basically pause the machine, so if we need more dry time, we can always come back and add it by pressing the final drying button. We want to break the vacuum by introducing fresh air. And with this particular unit, you get to introduce fresh air at the top, not through the drain valve. So we're going to open up that fresh air inlet, and air is going to get sucked in from your room, so you have no chance of contaminating your freeze-dried food with moisture from your drain bucket. So that's another really cool feature of the Stay Fresh freeze dryer. So far, our potato salad looks like it freeze-dried perfectly. We are going to test the temperature. And one thing I do like to check, usually after each batch, is the frost pattern. And this looks great. It's from back all the way to the front, which is exactly how your freeze dryer should be after a successful batch. All right, let's take a look at our potato salad and see if we have any cold spots. I'm using a handheld temperature probe from ThermoWorks just to test the temperature. And if there are any cold spots, I'm talking 50, 60, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, we'll put it back into the freeze dryer for a few more hours. But everything should be above 90 Fahrenheit by the time it's finished. And this looks perfect. Now we need to weigh 100% of our potato salad. And you're about to see how I like to portion everything up in Mylar bags. All 4 of our trays totaled 741 grams. All right, so that's going to be our base number for the potato salad. Let me show you what I like to do. We started off with 4 trays of 900 grams each. That's 3,600 grams of potato salad. Remember, I told you that those 3,600 grams was going to give me 18 portions. That's basically 18 cups of potato salad. We did end up with 741 grams. And so if you subtract those two numbers, you're going to get how much water was extracted from all this potato salad. So the answer is 2,859 grams. 741 is the potato salad, 2,859 is the amount of water taken out, and if we divide each one of those numbers by 18, you're going to get a single serving portion. So basically 41 grams is how much potato salad is going to go into each bag, and 159 grams is how much water you're going to add to it to reconstitute the meal. And so that's how I figure out portion sizes when it comes to freeze-drying meals. 159 grams is basically equivalent to 2/3 cup. So that's what I'm going to put on the instructions. And look, clearly you could just wing it. You know, you could put however much you want in a bag and add enough water to reconstitute it. But the reason I do it like this is because I want each bag to be consistent and accurate. My label right here says add 2/3 cup of water. And there we go. Pretty easy. Not a problem. All right, let's fill these bags. We are putting, remember, 41 grams of that freeze-dried potato salad mix in each Mylar bag. And when it comes to this particular step, I would recommend working quickly, especially if you live in a humid environment, because you do not want your freeze-dried food to start to rehydrate. And so generally while I'm doing this, my wife, my kids, they'll be around me. They'll be sealing bags, adding oxygen absorbers, putting food in the bags, just so that we can get the process done as quick as possible. This is a pint-sized Mylar bag, and this size bag is great for single servings. Basically, you can get a cup, maybe a little bit more than a cup in each bag. It's now time for the oxygen absorber, and for a pint-sized bag, we're going to be using the 300 cc oxygen absorber. This is actually large enough for both a pint, a quart-sized bag, and here's really where you want to get it together, because as soon as you open this little pack, those little O2 absorbers are going to want to start to absorb oxygen, and you want to try to minimize that as much as possible. So I wait to the very last second before I open up this pack. Right now we're going to get our potato salad. Every one of those Mylar bags are opened and they're ready for the oxygen absorbers. Our pack is now open, and at this point we now want to break that seal and go ahead and very quickly put one oxygen absorber in each Mylar bag. And there we go. That's what it looks like. At this point, we need to put all the rest of those O2 absorbers back under vacuum. The easiest way to do that, in my opinion, is these reusable vacuum seal bags with the handheld vacuum sealer. And notice there's a little red indicator right there in that pack of O2 absorbers. You want that indicator to stay red or pink, and it looks like we are still good. Let's go ahead and put this up and seal our bags. Now, freeze dryers usually come with some kind of an impulse sealer, which work great. We have several of them. I personally like this particular sealer though, because it crimps the bag and puts a beautiful thick seal. It's also great for sealing your non-conventional bags. So if you have, let's say, a gallon-sized bag or a 5-gallon bag that doesn't fit on your impulse sealer, this right here is beautiful because you can start at one end and then just very slowly slide the bag through that particular sealer, and it will seal as it goes. And watch this. This is all you would have to do is just slide it. Just like that, and you can seal your 5-gallon bag, 1-gallon bag without any problems.
All right, guys, our freeze-dried single-serving Cajun potato salad is ready. We actually made this 8 days ago, and so we're going to be opening this up, rehydrating it, and tasting it for the first time. And in this packet, you know, with product being freeze-dried, oxygen absorber, high-quality Mylar bag, this should last a considerable amount of time in a cool, dark place. And so we're going to see whether or not it rehydrates well, whether there's a loss of quality, and after it's all said and done, how it tastes. Let's get into it.
Instructions are simple. Add 2/3 cup of water. I'm not going to be adding hot water to this. This will just be regular room temperature water. And I did realize that I put feeds 2 adults. I need to change that. This actually is for 1 person. Then again, I guess it depends on how generous you are with your potato salad. All right, we're going to put this into a little bowl. Remove the oxygen absorber. All right, we're going to take that out. Add our 2/3 cup of water. That's been pre-measured. All right, so far so good. It smells good actually. Cover that up, and we're going to let it sit on our counter for about 5 to 8 minutes. Okay, it's been about 8 minutes, and it's now time to taste our potato salad. And just so you know, the amount of time that it takes to reconstitute your freeze-dried food varies from meal to meal. In this particular case, I think it came together pretty quick. As we give it a mix, everything looks nice. Let's give it a taste.
Freeze-dried potato salad, here we go. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. The vegetables, the celery, pickles, onions, they still have that beautiful crunch. I was actually expecting them to be a lot softer. One more bite. Flavor's 100% there. Egg whites rehydrated nicely, maybe just a little more firm than when we started. I do find the potatoes to be a little bit softer, so they tend to break up in your mouth a little bit faster than when you eat it fresh. So you kind of miss out on that contrasting texture between the potatoes that are creamed and the potatoes that are whole. The other thing that I'm noticing is that this version is not nearly as creamy as the original version. The flavor is 100% there. Texture-wise, we still get it from the vegetables. We don't get it from the potatoes. And it is just ever so slightly grainy, if that even makes sense, but not in a way that's off-putting. So overall, I love the packaging. I love the portion size. I love the flavor. I love the texture of those vegetables. That was a nice bonus. But the slight loss of quality in the overall dish did knock this down a couple notches. And so I'm going to give this freeze-dried Cajun potato salad a solid 7.3 out of 10, and I think it's definitely something to have in your arsenal. If you want more information on the Stay Fresh freeze dryer, check the description box below. Tim over at Stay Fresh was kind enough to offer a discount code for those of you looking to buy a freeze dryer. You can save a couple bucks off your purchase. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, especially if you're into freeze drying food, long-term food storage, meal prep, things like that. We have got a plethora of recipes, and I don't want you to miss a single one of them. Thanks a lot for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.